Hi, today we're in Madison, Illinois. We're on Route 66, and this is not the original Route 66 bridge of St. Louis. The original bridge is the MacArthur Bridge down the Mississippi. So this is a bypass bridge, opened in 1929. This is on the National Register of Historic Places. It's 5,353 feet long. It's like more than a mile. And way down this way, way out there, that's the St. Louis Arch. We've got the Mississippi River here, going south. Up here is the north side, and this place is called the Chain of Rocks Bridge, because this whole section of the Mississippi has this big ledge of rocks for like 17 miles, and it's the most difficult place to navigate in all Mississippi. These are water intakes for the water treatment plant, which is right over here. And it was the largest water treatment plant in the world. Look at that little castle right there. But in 1981, this was the filming site for Kurt Russell in the Escape from New York, when he's racing across the 16th Street Bridge. Today it's closed off to traffic. You know, it's only open for pedestrians and for walking. All right, so over on the west side of the bridge by St. Louis, this is the infamous bend in the bridge. See that? The cars coming down here at 60 miles an hour. Two little jalopies or Model Ts or 49 Ford coming down here, right? They're gonna wipe out and crash. So right now, we are on the western side of the old Chain of Rocks Bridge. So this is old Route 66. And this is the bypass from 1935 until 1965. Lots of different colors here. We got a little red, rusty, some blue, some white little wavy etchings. Oh. So here's where you get on the arch, called the arch entry. Kind of head down there, you buy your tickets, you take a little ride up to the top, I suppose, little viewing tower, and then you come back down. We're at Donut Drive-In. Check out this cool neon sign. This street here is called Chippewa. Right here, down this way, is the famous Ted Drew's Frozen Custard down the street. Well, here we go, the official sign. Route 66 roadside attraction, Ted Drew's Frozen Custard. This place here opened in 1941. It's a home of the famous concrete custard, little ice cream-like guy. You turn it upside down and it's so thick, it doesn't fall out. It's called the Dutchman here.
Twisted caramel.
Twisted caramel. Take a little bite here. This guy.
I said I'm a Ted Drew's. Would you like something?
Hey, that's really, really good. This is Manchester, which is our original Route 66 from 1926 to 1932. Beautiful little town of Maplewood. This beautiful building here, this is the Maplewood Theater Building, built in 1926. The same year Route 66 came through. Little cheat sheet here, little map. Maplewood, original Route 66, 1926 to 1932. Tells you all the cool things you see. And each one has a little plaque or a little shield marker. Now we're at the heart of Route 66 through town at Roseland Terrace. This is Manchester. This building here used to be called the Wedge, but it was torn down. See that? The Wedge, 1893 to 1972. It is a turnaround for little horse-drawn trolleys from St. Louis because the rail line didn't come out this far. This is the famous Cat's Drug Store. You just have a big cat right up here on top of the front entrance. There's a chain of drugstores all up and down Route 66 in Missouri. We're at the Route 66 State Park. This is former Times Beach, a big toxic waste site, all cleaned up, and now it's a state park. Now here's our inner loop trail, or road, out here. I understand this is probably where all the 800 homes were. They were laden with dioxin and flooded out in 1982. Route 66 came through here in 1926, then was realigned in 1932. And now we have the interstate that covers up that alignment. But a couple spots out here you might find remnants of the old road. We're right at this abandoned motel in the Jesse James Antique Museum. This road here is Route 66 bypass. This hotel is closed, but you can rent it or lease it out, fix it up. If you were ever a kid, you'll love this museum. But you know what? It's all boarded up. This is the Jesse James Wax Museum. Right here is Jesse James. So here's our museum right here. Okay, lots of cool stuff you can buy in the shop. Okay, open only on weekends, and today's Tuesday, so that's too bad. Here's the Riverside Wildlife Center. Check out that white elephant there. Well, here we are at the Merrimack Caverns Jesse James Hideout, Stanton, Missouri. Jesse and Frank with their gold from the train. You take a little riverboat. You also take kayaks, little canoes, float down the river. So it's Merrimack Caverns. It's over 400 million years old. So it's the oldest attraction on Route 66. It's called the Caveman Adventure Zipline Pan for Gold and Gemstones. Get the mother load bag for $29.99. Wow, inside the caverns here, we have a gift shop, cafe, super clean restrooms. Information about the cave. We got stalagmites and stalactites. Hey, check this out, the Cave of Outlaws. Get all these guys here on the wall. This here is Frank James here. Of course, this is Jesse James. There's the infamous Belle Star. Lassie was filmed here. There's Lassie inside the caves. There's a scene from Lassie here. That $500 reward for the arrest and conviction of Jesse James. Here's Becky Thatcher, Tom Sawyer. There's this huge trail all through this 4.6 miles of caverns here. Hideout shack here for Jesse James and Frank and the younger brothers. We're in the town of Stanton. Over here is the Jesse James Wax Museum, and we just left Merrimack Caverns. And this is the old Route 66 right here. We're at the Terror on Route 66 Haunted House. Hey, we have a little scary black cat. It's amazing. Haunted house. Look at this. Oh, this is insane. I'll show you the back lot over here. This is part of the tour. This is just insane. Check this out. Holy smokes. Hey, so now we're in Sullivan, Missouri. This is 1926, Route 66. We got the Shamrock Court Motel. They're fixing it up just for us. This guy was built in 1947. Anyway, this guy here is registered in the National Registry of Historic Places. Hey, we continue on Route 66 here. On the left is the railroad. Right here. On the right is Interstate 44. Now we're in the town of Bourbon. Population 1,632. Water tower here for Bourbon. Right up here. Check this out. The old Circle Inn restaurant. That thing's fantastic. It's got the original neon signs up there. Ready to go. Sandwiches, cheese balls. All right, here's our last landmark. Right here, Skippy's. Great little diner. It's on your left. So we head on the outer road, which is Route 66. The town of Cuba, right up here. Water tower. How about that? So the best place to start your tour, you park here at Missouri Hick Barbecue. This is called Washington. And this is not the original Route 66, but it's the Route 66 we know today. And right here's a little dirt road This is called Main Street. The original Main Street of Cuba was right here. In 1926, this road became the original Route 66. This road here was still a dirt road and is aligned with the new Route 66 the following year in 1927 and is finally paved in 1931. Now the old buildings here, they always faced toward the railroad tracks because they catered to the railway passengers. So this side here, this dirt road, Main Street, here's what was the Red Horse Cabins right over here. They opened in 1938 as a mobile station, a little cafe and cabins here. Later it grew to a truck stop and burned down in 1953. Got some of these gabled roof cabins here. They still survive. This building here is the Missouri Hick Barbecue. It used to be called the Annex Cafe, 913 East Washington. And Cuba is the mural city. They have a bunch of murals on a bunch of buildings we'll take a look at. Over here, this is the Wagon Wheel Motel, Cafe, and Gas Station, listed in the National Register of Historic Places. This guy was built in 1934 using local sandstone from our little Ozarks here. A really cool Wagon Wheel Motel neon sign. This guy dates back to 1947. But on McClay Street, don't miss the Jesus King of the Road sign right there. So Betty Davis stayed here at the Southern Hotel in 1948. See that? And over here is a little mural of Betty Davis. It's the story of Betty Davis here. Her husband, William Sherry, right in there. And they drove through Cuba on a rainy evening on November 2nd, 1948 in their 48 Packard station wagon. So there's Betty Davis not looking very happy. She was stranded in Cuba on a rainy night in 1948. Check out this building. Used to be called Kimberly Brothers or the Ever Ready gas station. It's changed a lot, but see the columns in the front right here? That column and that column? Used to hold up a canopy. Underneath the canopy was a little service station. It's all filled in now, like a little apartment. So Shelley's Cafe here, it originally opened in the 1950s. It was called the Cuba Dairy Cream. Today it's really popular for just having a little diner out here in Cuba. This is Al West, the Al West mural, called it. So Al here, he was the mayor of Cuba from 1946 to 1958. He's known as the father of modern Cuba. This intersection's Franklin. It's called the four-way. Right here's an old Phillips Cottage style gas station. Here we have Main Street here. Right over here, the old Cuba Jail, 1908. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's called a calaboose. So this is our cottage style Phillips 66 gas station. Built in 1932 by Paul T. Carr, and we have our murals up here. So in the 50s and 60s, changed it to a mobile gas station. Let me show you this up here. See the P up there? It's for Phillips, always on the chimney here. This is called number 12 here. The history at the four-way. This is Franklin Street, real busy. Anyway, Paul T. Carr. We got three little murals here. So panel one here, this is our vintage highway patrol car. It's our famous Wagon Wheel Motel neon sign. Panel two, this is Mr. Wallace. His beloved 1966 Stingray Corvette. Panel three, this is based on an old photograph of a campaign to attract the children of Cuba to this little store here. There's also a little snack shop. So here we have Amelia Earhart in 1928, right there. And that's her Avro 1927 single engine biplane. Here we have another gas station. This is an old Conoco service station. Today it's a Christian Science reading room. It's original cottage-style Conoco gas station built in the 1930s, maybe the 40s. Here's the back of our Conoco. You see that real slit, narrow vent? Right there, that's our signature Conoco. How about that? And over here, this guy here is called the Gold Star Boys and the Blue Bonnet mural. It's a tribute here to the young men from Cuba who lost their lives in World War II. Hey, I'm Buchanan in Washington. This one here is called the People's Bank. This depicts Alva James Barnett, always known as AJ, up here. He's the first cashier of the bank. Then later, he became the president of the bank for 39 years, from 1920 to 1959. He's also the mayor of Cuba for 10 years. Now our other mural here, next door to the People's Bank, it's called the Osage Meeting Mural. They're friendly Osage Native Americans here. They're meeting with our French settlers right here. Some more murals here. Let's take a look. All these murals here on the Lions Club building, right here, all depicts our Civil War stories. The battle between the Confederate General Sterling Price and the Union General Thomas Ewing. Got a great mural on this guy too. So this store, originally called the H.H. Timon's General Merchandise Store, opened in 1950. Here's the back of Prosperity Corner, 1 Smith Street. Here, this building, 1886. This is the original site of the People's Bank. From 1906 to 1959, it's virtually unchanged. So the People's Bank, they occupied the floor down here. Here, this mural next door is called the Millworks mural. The Millworks building here was built in 1948. A day at the cooperage. Right here, cars in the way. But the mural here depicts the McGinnis family. Up here, McGinnis Wood Products. They began making barrels here in Cuba in 1968. This is apple orchards, called the Apple Mural. Look at this one over here in 1900. Soon had a thriving apple orchard and nursery. And the apple industry in Cuba was born. Here's our final mural. It's Harry S. Truman and the Fair. This is 1940. He's campaigning for the Senate. Right here he's on his little soapbox there. He's preaching to 2 citizens as he's running for Senate. And that's only people that came to see him. Our final stop, right outside of Cuba. Just on the outskirts of Franklin Avenue. It's our drive-in theater. Concessionary area out here. Here we have our theater. We got a Fanning Outpost General Store. This giant rocking chair. So this place, the post office, opened in 1887 and then closed in 1953. We used to have a church and a school. All we have now is a few scattered homes. It's called the Route 66 Rocker. World famous. People come from all over the world to see this guy. It's pretty cool. It's a massive piece of furniture. Little roadside attraction out here on Route 66. And now we're headed into a town called St. James, the forest city of the Ozarks. Hey, check out this cool gas station. It's a Derby, right on the corner of Seymour and Route 66. Right here, there used to be a big, tall post with a big Derby logo sign. And here we have Finn's Motel. So most of the original Route 66 motels were on the actual 1926 alignment, but when they built the 4-lane road out here, it's now Interstate 44, they started building these newer hotels on the bypass, or the newer Route 66. So these started getting built around 1956. This residential section, this is the very first divided Route 66 highway in Missouri. where this way we're going west, and these folks are going east. We've got this great little walkway in between. So it's the first time we ever see this. It's like a 0.2 mile stretch of Route 66. Hi, so right outside St. James, Interstate 44, this is exit 195. It's called the Green Light Inn and Suites. It used to be called Nickerson Farms, but it was torn down in 1990. This guy here is what we're looking at. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the Friendship Gateway Inn. And later on it became the Ozark Motel. This thing was built in 1950s, early 60s. Now check out this sign here. Way iconic. This is for Murdon Concrete Products. It's got this water pipe. Lights up in neon and drips down. Drip, drip, drip. Right down those little drip guys there out of the faucet. Hi, today we're on Route 66 in the city of Rolla, right here. Right in the Ozarks of Missouri. Start here at the Old Mule Trading Post. It was opened by Frank Ebling, originally as a mule trading post back in 1946 out at Gray Summit. Sold Texaco gasoline. Mr. Hillbilly is part of what's called the Sterling Hillbilly Store out in Hooker, Missouri. This guy's made in 1981. He's 28 feet tall. Hey, so you want to park down here at North Rolla Street and 8th Street. Now we're on Pine Street, our City 66, historic downtown Rolla. Welcomes you. This guy here, the Phelps County Bank, right at the corner of Pine and 8th. This used to be called the Edwin Long Hotel. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. This guy opened in 1931. Here's our downtown Rolla mural at historic Pine Street in Old Route 66. This is the old Phelps County Jail. Built in 1860. This guy's on the National Register of Historic Places. Totem pole, antiques, and moccasins. Fireworks. So it's claimed to be the longest running Route 66 business in Missouri. So the gas station, I don't think it's open now. But we have these beautiful pumps. This pump island. Look at this here. Pump tower. Check out this here. It used to be called the Martin Springs Store. Built in the 1920s. Dairy farm, sold gasoline, had some rental cabins. The store's on the ground floor here with the hipped roof, wood 2-story frame building. This guy, that's called the little spring house. Little squatty stone faced 1-story building with small windows, hipped out. But right here, really sharp turn here. It's called Dead Man's Corner. So Route 66 comes down here, people are barreling down, try to make this right-hand turn and boom, way out in the bushes and the trees. So just before town of Doolittle, look at this old relic. It's called the Hargis Tourist Camp. Also, it's called the All-American Camp. We used to have a Texaco filling station here in a row of cabins out here. It's for roller skating. How about that? Anyway, it's the old Hargis roller skate rink here. And if you're ever out here, always make sure you stop by the old town of Newburgh. The town was founded in 1884 as a railroad town by the Frisco Railroad. This is cool. And here we have Main Street on the railroad. Look at these beautiful homes and businesses and buildings. Got Perry's Pool Cafe. We're headed out to an old forgotten place of Arlington, Missouri, on the original Route 66. So this is our new, we'll call it the new Route 66 road here that we take today. This road here, this is the 4-lane bypass of Route 66. Wow, they replaced the 1926 road. Now just up the bend on the north side, you got Vernell's Motel. Great neon sign. Beautiful little old classic iconic motel here. It's built in 1938 and originally opened as the Gasser Tourist Court. Had a service station, store, 6 cabins. Sign there. That guy dates back to 1952. This is a trail to John's Modern Cabins. This here is our Route 66, 1926 road. Look at that. It's originally called Bill's Place. People also called it Bill and Bessie's Tourist Camp. It had 6 cabins and a dance hall. And after World War II, it was sold to a guy named John Dosh. He renamed it John's Modern Cabins. But it wasn't that modern because he still had to use an outhouse. Anyway, here's our outhouse at our cabins. See that? Anyway, little toilet used to use. There's a whole log cabin here. Unbelievable. It's super. Here's our beautiful sign. John's Modern Cabins. Old neon sign with the arrow on top. The beautiful town of Arlington. Here's a look at Interstate 44, the railroad tracks. A lot of private homes here, private property. Our building here, this is part of Pillman's Camp in Arlington. Right at the junction here, Route 66. This Pillman's Camp had a cafe, cabins, little Phillips 66 station. Also ran a general merchandise store and he served the local post office. Hey, so now we're in Stonydale. Right here, little Stonydale cabins. This is Route 66, or what was, and then it kind of cuts over to the right. Right here, it's called the Stonydale Cabins. You guys are still standing. Built around 1935, wood frame. Get these tin gabled roofs. We got 4 cabins here. This one here, it's like number 8. Also a gas station here. Little pump slab in the grass up here by the tree. Very cool. We got a tree that's growing out of this gas pump. And we got this one right here. This store here is called Stonydale's Bushwhackers Store, also known as Bear Den Store. Sold gas and food. This guy was built right about 1935, and then up the hill were some stone cabins in an archway. Whew. Unbelievable. We got arch windows. Floor here, little fridge here. Right. This whole area here, there's a main building right here, and it's not here anymore. Right on the other side, but over here there's a giant swimming pool. I don't know if you're gonna be able to find any remains of our pool, but it would have been right out here. There's something. Right out here. Here's our last stop in Jerome. It's called the Larry Baggett's Trail of Tears Memorial. What I understand, it's okay to visit, just be very, very respectful of all the little artwork and the contributions he's making out here to our Native Americans. So now we're in the little town of Powellville. And there's nothing here. You got some homes and farms, beautiful cows. This is Interstate 44. Here's the little outer road, we'll call it. Right, no longer Route 66, but here is probably the only thing you're gonna find up here. It's a foundation to an old motel. Anyway, the site was built and owned by the Powell brothers in 1931, and then demolished in 1967. had a service station. You see this little cutout, kind of goes around. Little service station, a restaurant, a general store, auto court motel, even 10 cabins, and there's a little road back here. I think that led back to the little cabins along the way. We're headed to a little town called Clementine, known as Old Basketville. Old Basketville. Sorry, because they locals like to make little Ozark baskets and sell them along the highway. They string them up on wires, and here we go. We got a church here. The old church on the left. This thing called Terry's Deep Rock Service Station is right here. Yeah, look at that. Across the road was the Ozark gift shop over here. See, hey, now we're on Trout Road right here. This here is the old Sterling Hillbilly store. Used to have that hillbilly you find out in Rolla right now with his arms that spin around. Built in along here. It used to be called Well Station. People called it the Sterling Hillbilly store. It's a store with cabins, a little camping spot. They sold 19-cent burgers and crafts. This is called Trophy Lane, which is the original Route 66. And it went up in the hillside in order to get over this hill here called Hooker Hill right here, because you couldn't get through it straight. So in the 40s, they built this cut here called Hooker Cut to go straight through. So most people go straight through this little Hooker Cut rendition of Route 66. But before that, in 1926, you had to head up this dirt gravel road here we're going to go through. And it wraps around to a street called Teardrop. And then Teardrop flows all the way down to Devil's Elbow. Hey, we're on Trophy Lane. This is Route 66. It's all gravel road here. Anyway, we're in the town of Hooker. Anyway, this is Route 66 right here. 1926. Little gravel road going through Hooker. We got a little ramshackle building here. Could have been a diner, be a gas station, maybe a little inn. We have lots of remnants out here. Probably somebody lives here now. Who knows? Here's it's like a fuel tank. There's a abandoned little home. Now here's the road out of Hooker. On the other side we didn't cross over. This is called Teardrop Road, or Teardrop Lane. It's our Route 66 out here. So here we are on Hooker Cut, and we started at Trophy Lane, which is the east side of Hooker. And this guy here was cut out in 1941 through 1945. It's a way to bypass all the windy turns up through Hooker and Devil's Elbow. It's a shortcut across this place called Hooker Hill. The cut up here, I'll show you, it's 93-foot drop on the right here, right at the top of Hooker Cut. Look at that. It's just 93-foot drop. They had to cut out of here to make this road. It's blasted out with dynamite. It's over 1,100 feet long. Here's our beautiful bridge on Hooker's Cut over the Big Piney River. Anyway, it's an open spandrel bridge. The spandrel is the space between the top of the arch and the roadbed above it. So it's open. You can see way down there. You can't quite see how open it is. So the arch doesn't really touch the roadbed. Anyway, there's 3 main arches. Alright? And there's 5 arch girders. So way down there. See those arches over the river? Call those the 3 main arches, and they're open on top there. See, little open arch? This is Hooker's Cut. Up here is a place called Hooker. Route 66 comes down this road called Teardrop, and it heads out to Devil's Elbow. And this building here is called Dale's Sporting Goods. It used to also be called Robidoux Woodworkers. Built in 1950, sold sporting goods, bait, grocery, had a liquor store, little Phillips 66 gas station. Across the street, this little house here, it's a residence now. Used to be called the Sunset Rest. People called it Bougard's. Anyways, built in 1933. This was a former Texaco station. Had cabins around it. So here we are on Teardrop Road, headed into Devil's Elbow. It's called Devil's Elbow because the super sharp turn on the Big Piney River caused a lot of problems and jam-ups for the loggers. They cut down the trees and send them downstream. They'd all get gnarled up here. Wow, called a devil of an elbow, I suppose. So this guy here is the famous Elbow Inn at Devil's Elbow. So originally this was called the Old Munger Moss Sandwich Shop. It was built in 1936 by Nellie Munger and her second husband, Emmett Moss. Hey, here we have the famous Devil's Elbow Bridge on historic Route 66. Right here, it's this really sharp curve. It's only two bridges that had curves in them. The old Chain of Rocks Bridge in St. Louis is shut down. And this one, but it's real dangerous because you come up Route 66 here, barreling at, 60 miles an hour. And you wipe out here. Walking across the Devil's Elbow Bridge. I said it's a 589 feet long bridge. And this deck here is only 19.4 feet wide, so it's pretty narrow. Little marker up here says 1923. So here we are across the bridge, right in town at Devil's Elbow, Missouri, Route 66, Big Piney River. This building used to be called the Hiawatha Lodge. Right. It also used to have a sign in front called Devil's Elbow Hardware. And over here, across the street, this whole area, this used to be called McCoy's Store and Camp. Anyways, opened up in 1948, but it's no longer here. It used to have dance hall, cabins, Conoco station, and post office. Hey, look at this cool building. Right outside Devil's Elbow up the road. This was built in 1927. It's called Graham's Camp, or the Big Piney Lodge. Had 14 cabins right around here on Route 66 for fishing, camping, big resort, cafe, gas station. All right, so further up the road here, this place is called Devil's Elbow Cut. So in 1938, it took a bunch of explosives in the limestone to widen out this road. Wow. And then this stone wall here was built to keep people from barreling off the edge. We just left Devil's Elbow. We're on Route 66. We're headed up the hill. And look at this. We're headed on to a place called Morgan Heights. This guy here is called Ernie and Zada's Inn, also known as the Easy Inn. This guy opened up in 1932. Now we just came from Eddie and Zada's out here, the Grandview on Teardrop. We cross over Teardrop, which is Route 66. This is Hooker's Cut, right? Going up that way. This street here is Route 66. Next door is the Devil's Elbow Motel. It's privately owned right now, and the guys like their privacy. So we'll take a real quick peek at that place. But if you head up Route 66 here, this is 1926, it dead ends right at Interstate 44. This thing is absolutely amazing. You see the 1931 little half curbs here? And all this here is ripped up, but Route 66 then headed straight out here to cross what's now Interstate 44. Uranus, open. So this place here is not a real town. It's just kind of like a made-up town. And there's a mayor of the town. His name is Louis Keene. Uranus, Missouri, Route 66. This guy here, our friend here, this is the Muffler Man. Mega Mayor Muffler Man. That's who we call him. Giant neon, googie looking sign, fudge, sideshow museum, fire engine, a playground for you, little double-decker London bus. This guy here is the world's largest belt buckle. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Fudge, candy, taffy, chocolates, and nuts. Hey! Man, this came right out of Uranus. It's pretty good. Well, like they say here, thanks for picking Uranus. While you know you're in St. Robert, you check out the great patriotic water tower. Welcome to Route 66 Diner. It's called the Freedom Rocks little mural. We got a P-51 Mustang here. Anyway, our fallen soldier flag. Beautiful. This is the Oaks Court Cabins. Pay up one block is the Ranch Motel. Air conditioned, cable color TV. This guy dates back to 1940s. Over here, this guy, the town and village, way up there. That's the DeVille Motor Inn. And you notice it's got this 1960s Google, and that little pattern there. It's that kind of googie art. Over here, it's all abandoned now. It's a rock frame Phillips 66 station. Unbelievable. It's a gas station on the left. Route 66 eastbound is over here. Westbound's over here. This was one of our split roadside parks. It's called the George M. Reed Roadside Park. Dates back to 1955. It's the only remaining Route 66 roadside park in the entire state of Missouri. This guy up here, it's a little M60 tank. It's from Desert Storm. This beautiful tank. It appears the Alpine House. Either way, motel, apartments, lots of hospitality. One of our old Route 66 quirky buildings. It's a motel designed like an alpine theme, like you're out in Switzerland. Look at that gable room up there. Maybe that's the suite. Holy smokes. Welcome to Waynesville on Route 66. Up here is our fraud, Mr. Croker. Right here, roll down the window for you. There you are. Hello, W.H. Croker. All right, so now we're in Waynesville of the Ozarks. This is Route 66. That's west. All these beautiful buildings on this road. So right before you get to Waynesville, you're going to see our beautiful Waynesville welcome sign. But over here, this is called the Old Stagecoach Stop at 105 North Lynn. This guy here is listed in the National Register of Historic Places. It's the oldest standing structure in Pulaski County. It was built around the mid-1850s. This classic building here, unbelievable. This is Rigsby's Station and Home. This is our classic Route 66 1920s building. was built in 1924. It was the home of Claude and Eva Rigsby. And Claude, he ran a Standard Oil service right in front, right out here, pumping gasoline up until 1957. They also had a gift shop and a restaurant inside. Hey, this building here, it's the former Bell Hotel. Now it's a funeral chapel. So you check in, you can't check out the hugest bowling pin on Route 66. I don't think it's the biggest one in the world, but it's pretty big. It's part of the Buckhorn Lanes out here, all closed up. This Buckhorn Lanes place. There used to be another shop out here. It was an adult store. Had a giant Angus beef cattle statue on it, torn down. This is the 1926 to 1950 alignment of Route 66. Up that way, a town called Buckhorn. And here, a place called Gaskozark. There's a Gaskozark store right there. This guy here is the Gaskozark Cafe and filling station. Anyway, Frank Jones settled here in 1931, opened up this cafe and service station. He hired a stonemason, make this slab rock, giraffe style pattern. Now Route 66, it verges a little bit to the left over the Gasconade River. This is the Gasconade River Bridge. Holy smokes. This bridge was constructed in 1924, part of Missouri Highway 14, 2 years before Route 66. 525 feet long, 20 feet wide, steel truss. We got 3 separate spans here. We just left Hazel Green, all the way to Lebanon on the right. Over here, this is the Speedway, multi-purpose Speedway. So it opened in 1982, has a 3/8 oval track and a 1/5 mile oval track. Now here's our raceway, right here, just over here, this beautiful sign, the Cafe Fried Chicken and Homemade Pie. Beautiful roadside neon, googie art style, space age. This is the side of the Satellite Cafe and Phillips 66 space station. Right over here. Little rocket ship. It's built in 1965 and then it burned down in 1999. So a couple doors up on the right. This is the location of what was the Vesta Court. Anyway, just past this little recycling area. All right, this whole platform right here had a Texaco station, several cabins. 1957 they renamed it the El Rancho. So look for this little monument right here. That guy? That was the entrance to the little site. Anyway, had an arch there. We're at the Munger Moss Motel. It's a good place to park and walk around right now because we got a couple sites to look at. But up here we have our little arrow boards. Get your kicks on Route 66. The Munger Moss Motel shows you all the different directions and things, and cool stuff to see. We're going to find along the way as we head from St. Louis down to Needles, California. This guy was built in 1945. So it originally opened as the Chicken Santee Restaurant. There's a roadside restaurant and filling station. Both are gone. Iconic sign there. Unbelievable. Across the street, it's called the Starlight Lanes. Today it's called Bullmore Lanes on Route 66. Hey, this place here, it's called the Forest Manor Motel and Campground. It started in 1941 as a tourist camp called the Green Gables Court. All these were individual cabins with carports between them. And of course they always fill in the carports to make more room. Now one more block down on your right is the historic Rinks Market. It's founded by Glenn Wrinkle, 1950. Continued until he died at 82 in 2005. But here, this guy, it's the old Bell Motel. Now it says Mary's B Budget Inn. The old Bell Motel. This was built in 1946 by Clinton and Jim Bell. Hey, we got our Lebanon water tower. This is East Elm in Washington. Elm is Route 66. A beautiful little patriotic park here. We're leaving the big city of Lebanon. We're headed out to Caffeyville. Okay, this guy used to be called the White Sands Motel up here on the left. Right here. Opened in 1960s. Had 31 rooms, air conditioned, and free TV. Wall-to-wall carpets and a restaurant. So right up here is what's called the Old Slab Bridge. It goes right across Rush Creek, right there. This is an old slab bridge, and down there's Rush Creek. This guy was built in 1922. But anyway, right here was an old place called the Bungalow Inn. That was built in the 1950s, but they had to tear it down to make room for the 4-lane highway out here that's now buried under Interstate 44. So that big pile of rubble back there, that's probably the Bungalow Inn right here. So way back here, this whole area, this is called the McCleary Motel Cafe and Service Station. It's all been torn down. You can't find much about it. Had a cafe building, gas pumps. The motel's gone. So if you head straight down, this used to be the entire village of Caffeyville. Way down there, it's all obliterated and gone. So you have to go across the highway this direction, then hang a right on the south side of Interstate 44. Wow, this is an absolutely amazing church. It's called the Liberty Church. It's established in 1907. And this church building was built in 1950s. It's got that local giraffe style pattern look. It's real popular out here in the Ozarks. So Route 66 here on the south side of Interstate 44, it hits a dead end right there. That's too bad because the road used to cut across the freeway to the other side. So now we're headed into a little town called Phillipsburg. That's the former Highlight Cabin Court, built in 1932 by Lee Fenton. Used to have a Phillips 66 gas station here, small store, and that little antique shop right there is just decorated with all sorts of license plates. So right up here on these barns, there's this cool advertising. I wonder if it's still here. Here we go. Merrimack Caverns. Over there, Merrimack Caverns. So this is a brainchild of a guy named Lester Dill. He invented the bumper sticker, by the way. Anyway, he revolutionized all this advertising all along Route 66. Up here, this little underpass for the railroad. That's the underpass for the BNSF Railroad. It is built to carry the Frisco Railroad across Route 66. It's super narrow. Clearance is only 13.5 feet. We gave the nickname Subway. And just past our little train over here, this is the Carter and Lawson's Underpass Cafe and Service Station. Give it a little gift shop. It was opened in 1941 by Ed Lawson and O.E. Carter. Hey, so these silos here, it's called the Midway Motel, called the Bins of Route 66. Right, it's converted to the Midway Motel in the 1950s. It used to have a icebox style standard station out here, torn down a couple of years ago. In 2020, the owners put these two big grain silos on the property and refurbished them into little Airbnb rentals. So we got a close-up of Redmond's here, Redmond's Candy, right there. And this is the world's largest gift store, of course, because it's on Route 66 here. Hey, we got the railroad tracks here, right behind Redmond's. This old building, it's called the Old Phillipsburg General Store. It's this two-story brick building right next to where the train depot is located, built around 1880. So back on the byway for Route 66, right up here on the left are those abandoned RV and that Ford right here. This is the old schoolhouse and gymnasium. So along the highway, just past the Timber Hill station, we have a historic marker. Anyway, this used to be a big roadside park with picnic tables and fire rings, all kinds of cool stuff. But today it's just this big marker. See what it says. The land for this roadside park was donated by Maud and Snyder. Hey, over here is an old gas station across the street. It's the Twin Oaks Cabins and Texaco. This guy was built in the 1930s, so the pumps were underneath that little canopy here. See that? And behind it were some old cabins and a little tower here. That tower, that was built to hide the water tank of our little establishment here. There's your cabin rental. You look in the front door through the window, see what's here. Alright, so that's the front area. Sure it had a little restroom and a little kitchenette. Welcome to Conway, Missouri on Route 66. Anyway, Route 66 was created in 1926. It passed through the west part of the town. It put Conway on the map. The little town prospered from 1926 to 1953. And then Route 66 is realigned up to the west, or out there that way. So the town got a little forgotten. And then later on it got buried. Route 66 did under the new Interstate 44. We're headed south now on Route 66. Sampson was first settled in 1862. Then a big, large tomato canning factory opened up. So right up here on the left, where all that lumber is, it's the That's It Motel, built in 1948, closed in 1960s, and burned down in the 70s. And there you go. Well, that's it for that hotel. The timber fence on the ground, you can't miss it, called the Timber Hill Camp. Also known as Indian Camp. Not a private home, so we'll leave those guys alone. So we got a little marker here, Deerfield. This is Deerfield Road here. Check out this here. It's called the Babley Modern Court. Among the trees, used to be called an auto court, built in 1940. We've got 8 cabins with gabled roofs all around here. Each cabin had 3 rooms. Abbey Lee Modern Court. Among the trees and cafe. Alright, so check this out. We're at Niangua Junction on Main Street and Route 66. This guy's built in the 1930s, was a gas station and a convenience store. In 1938 it sold ice, cold drinks, and Marathon brand tires. This guy's the Rock Haven Restaurant, Cafe, and Filling Station. Built in 1925, 1-floor, wood structure, bungalow-style building. So 200 yards up on the left here, this really pretty building called the Oak Vale Park. established in 1939. It's really cool. So it was originally built in 1932 and called the Carpenter's Camp. Sandstone from the Ozarks there. 1936 it sold Skelly gas. Had a small cafe. 1939 it was sold and changed its name to Oak Vale Park, right there. We came from up here, from Niangua, down Route 66, and here in the Marshfield, this place called the Route 66 Park. Looks like they're still working on it. What they did is they preserved an original portion of Route 66 right here. It's 150 feet long. So the town decided to save this little piece of highway for us to preserve the original stretch of Route 66. Welcome to the city of Marshfield in the Ozarks. Here we have a golf course over here. But this building, this guy was the Skyline Cafe originally, right by the water tower. Alright, so instead of taking the old 66, it's probably best taking City 66, which is a new route up through town. And you end up here at the Webster County Courthouse, built in 1941. So this is a great little Route 66 town because Route 66 kind of comes on one side, and then the bypass or the city route is on the other. So all the sidewalks here says City Route US 66 of Missouri at our county courthouse. This here is our little replica of the Hubble Space Telescope. It's 1/4 scale model replica. Edwin Powell Hubble, he's our American astronomer. He was born in Marshfield here in 1889. This is a nice building here, Complete Realty. And there's another old one here. It's called the McKnight Building. That guy was built right around 1910. Hey, up on the northwest side of the square, got an old barber shop here. A lot of these Route 66 guys have lots of murals now. Got Sugar Cream Creamer, notable people of Marshfield. Here we got the Historical Museum, Webster County. And this, there's a little Star of Fame. All these people. Bill Burden for baseball, Boxcar Willie, entertainer, Joan Crawford, actress. This building here on the corner, little gray building at Madison and South Marshall. This is the old Marshfield Oil Company building. Didn't look like this at the time. Anyway, it's an old 1920s gas station. Now it's all kind of squared off. We're headed out of Marshfield, and today we're going to visit two towns called Red Top and Holman. Headed into Red Top. It's pretty cool. And on the right used to be a place called Little Park Camp or Brown's Camp. It's not here anymore. Then another place called Cap's Service Station and Store. That's not here either. But up ahead, around the bend, we have a really cool old station with some junky old cars parked in front. That guy right there with all the old junker cars, that's called the Red Top Garage. It's also known as Red Top Camp. One-story rectangular concrete building. The two-bay garage. Got some old junker cars up here. So at one time there was at least 7 cabins here. And they're all gone, of course. In that little garage, it ran from 1940s up to the 1980s, and now it's this big old junkyard of cars here. So here we have Evergreen Road, the North Frontage Road. It's down to Holman. Now this part of Route 66 is called Jungle Drive. On the left is a wild animal park. We're cruising there, I'll show you what that looks like real fast. But on our right, see those big pillars right there? Sticking up. This is the entrance for the Old Ranch Hotel, also called Holman Ranch. Used to have 5 cabins here. They're all torn down. Then up here on the left is the Wild Animal Safari. It used to be called the Exotic Animal Paradise. And you drive through on your car with little peanuts, and the little critters here like to come up to your car and eat out of your hands. We just left the town of Holman in the Wild Safari Park. We're headed westbound. Over here is Interstate 44. We're headed into Stratford, the town with 2 main streets. Your tour here at the Bumgarner's Picnic Shelter. This is Route 66, and here's the old railroad right here. That is really amazing. And this guy here, this is a replica of the old Bumgarner Station Railway Depot. Used to be across the street. Now just to the right, look at this old gas station. Used to be called McDowell's Garage. Right at the corner of Madison and Route 66. This old building, not sure what this is, but this one here, this is the Old Willis Hotel and Cafe. 2-story, used to be a red brick building. I think it closed in the 1950s. So here we have Pine Street, which was once Main Street before Route 66. And today we have a Route 66 auto show. You know, that's a cool Ford. You gotta meander around a little bit to get to 4048 East Kearney Street, which is right here. This is Otto's Motel Court, about 3 miles east of Springfield. So all that remains here is the main office and the cafe. Individual stone cabins behind the building were torn down. This here is the Holiday Drive-In Theater of Springfield. Look at this. A drive-in theater here. So it opened in the 1960s, and then it closed in the 1990s. Now a couple blocks up from the drive-in theater, we have this guy. He's the Rest Haven Court, built in 1945. Right there. So it started as a service station owned by Hillary and Mary Brightwell. Had 4 stone cottages, were added in 1947, and then it became the Rest Haven Court. Right here. The huge sign in front, this guy, Rest Haven Court, big old neon, incandescent lighting. That was added in 1953. At the Come and Go at Kearney and Glenstone, we have a giant ampersand sign. The historic Route 66 of Springfield. At Glenstone up here, we have the Flagship Motel. It used to be called the White City Tourist Park, built in 1927. 1959, it was replaced with a new owner, called it the Americana Motel. In 1981, it became the Flagship. Here we have Glenstone Cottage Court, right here. It's an old auto court, opened in 1947 with 14 units. So originally it was called Black's Cottage Court, and it's pretty much unchanged for 75 years. This guy here, the Dogwood Park Inn. How about that? Another relic. Route 66. Look at this big U-shaped motel. So it used to be called the Silver Saddle, then the Baldridge. The Silver Saddle Motel was built in 1939. And here is the Best Western of Railhaven. Because up front here, we have the original rails. They used to go around the property. That's why they called it Rail Haven. See that? Little rails right there. Little fences. So in 1984 it became the Best Western. And this guy is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Now right in front of the Best Western, we have the great neon sign here. Springfield, Route 66 birthplace. And a little display here of the rails in the Rail Haven Motel. Wow, here's the Railhaven Motel sign right here for our new Best Western. We have here on the left on East St. Louis Street, look at that guy. He's called Carl the Chef. He's one of our giant muffler men. This guy is an original building, one of the few unchanged buildings along Route 66. It opened up in 1962. And so the chain, Steak and Shake, it actually started in 1934. And despite its name, there's no steak on the menu. Now up on the right is the Route 66 Springfield Visitor Center. This great modern neon sign. It's a good spot to find out more information about Route 66, what you can do up here. This is the Kentwood Arms Motel. Built in 1926. It's a super luxury stop on Route 66. 6-story brick sandstone building. This mosque looking building here. This is the Abu Ben Adam Shrine Museum. It's built in 1923. It's not a religious building, it's a 5-story auditorium. It seats 4,000 people. It's an apartment complex now, but in its heyday, this was the Woodruff Building, built in 1910. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. It's known as Springfield's finest skyscraper. So just to the left of this big Woodruff Building, right there, that's called the Giglio's Theater. It's a little marquee on the outside. Built in 1926. Little Spanish-looking style. Little super narrow strip of property between two buildings. So we're at the Park Center Square of Springfield. This place is on the National Register of Historic Places. Got a beautiful fountain and a great building up here called Here's. And here's the little plaque to remember Wild Bill. Right there. Wild Bill Shootout. So Davis Tutt was on this corner. Wild Bill was here, and they paced off at 75 yards. And then Wild Bill got him, but he's acquitted of manslaughter by jury 3 days after the trial. That there is the oldest building in all of Springfield. It's called the Calaboose Old Jail. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, built in 1891. This is the birthplace of Route 66 Roadside Park. Let's take a look at this sign. Kind of strange looking. Now this sign here, this is the replica of Red's giant Hamburg sign. So right up here, we're looking at the Rockwood Motor Court. Right there. Wow. This is built in 1929. It's a super Route 66 classic motor court. Rockwood Motor Court. No vacancy today. Here we have the Route 66 Barbershop, established in 1948. It's got that little barber pole going around. Just absolutely gorgeous. Looks like he still does hair in there. This here is the historic Rock Fountain Tourist Court. Right here. Built in 1945. Originally called the Rock Fountain Court. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So finally getting out of town on US 66 byway. This is called the Chestnut Expressway. Well, here we are. This is downtown Plano, Missouri, on Route 66. It's called a Greene County Historic Site, Plano, a ghost town. This guy used to be a former Tidal gas station right in the corner. This here is the general store, the Plano General Store. Dates back to 1902. Okay, so now we're on Route 66. Right here, coming from Plano, this is an old Skelly gas station. Little box style gas station here. We got one little service bay on the end. The pump island here. Check that out, it's still here. Called the Main Street Stone Building. Dates back to 1907. So at one time this was a movie theater, and now it's a vacant warehouse. See this guy here, it's called Richard's Antiques. This building was built in 1906. It served as a stable for boarding horses. Then there's a meat packing plant. Then more recently an antique store. It's called the White City Motel. It's a private residence today. Anyway, he's strategically located between Halltown and Paris Springs on Route 66, built in the 1950s. The main building in the center was built in 1935. It served as the office. Little bungalow-styled gabled roof here. Hey, today it's a great day in Missouri. I'm at a place called Paris Springs. This is the famous Sinclair gas station. On the street here, we got a great shield, US 66 cobblestone barn over here. That was built first in 1926, and shortly after, the owners built this Sinclair gas station. The traditional Sinclair Spanish eclectic look and style, and the gas station that burned down in 1955 and is rebuilt in this style to keep its Route 66 1930s look, except it stopped selling gas. But we do have these cool gas pumps here just for looking at. We're leaving Paris Springs. This is called Turnback Creek. Unbelievable. Built in 1923. It's a triple Warren Pony Truss Bridge. We head out to the main Route 66 road right here. This is called 2062. And this here is Route 66 from 1926 as it heads into the town of Spencer. We'll take a look at that. But look at this road here. This is our original Route 66 road. Yeah, my goodness. Just as it comes up to the bridge here. This is called the Johnson Creek Bridge. It's a 5-panel Pratt through truss bridge. So this whole area consists of a store, barber shop, an old filling station, and a garage. This building here is called the Spencer Garage and Service Station. It's the largest building in the village. This originally was a Tidal service station. Later it sold Phillips 66. So this here's a cafe and a barber shop right here. Headed right outside the town of Spencer. Check this out. This is the original Route 66 road right here. Never been widened, never been asphalted, never been anything. So we're headed to a town called Heatonville. The first guy you see here is the Wild Cow Emporium. Look at that guy. Wild Cow Emporium. This way's east, headed west on Route 66. You pass a little schoolhouse, pretty much in ruins. But you get this guy here. This is the old Castle Rock Courts. It was built in 1931. It used to be a motel and a filling station. Up on our left, this is our last building. There's really not a lot to see in Heatonville. From a little Route 66 perspective, this is a 1936 D.L. Morris gas station and garage. And on the left was a old post office from 1872. We're coming up to a town called Albatross. It's a very small community. In fact, it's so small you can't even call it a village. This little house on the south side, way up there, that guy, used to be called the Adamson Oil Company. Little simple filling station built around 1926. We've got a turnout here. Turnout. This is a gas station. It's called the Hollis Hill House Station. And it's all gone. I think this is our last building in Albatross. It's an auto body shop. I'm going to guess this is built in the 1930s. And we're approaching the town of Phelps on Route 66. You head up here, this tiny little north frontage of it, you get a taste of Route 66. Now here we have Route 66 on this little frontage road. There's the new Route 66, and that's the 1926 alignment. And right in the corner here, at junction UU, this used to be the site of Bill's Station. But this building here is called the Henson Building. It's a hotel. Sat right here on Route 66, built around 1924, two-story building. It's got 14 rooms, 8 on the bottom and 6 on top. This here is the schoolhouse called the Phelps School. It was built in 1889. One-room school located right on Route 66. It says 1888. Sorry, it's off the year. We're headed into a town called Rescue. So right on Route 66, this is looking east. You head into this little driveway, and here's what's left of Reed's Cabins in the town of Rescue. It's built around 1926. Wow. Anyway, that's kind of sad. So this building here is called Brown's Garage, right next to Reed's. So it operated as a service garage, and they probably also had a gas station right out here. Hey, good morning. Today we're in the town of Plough, Missouri, right on Route 66. This is looking east towards Rescue, and this is going west towards, say, Joplin. This guy here, well, it used to be our first stop. Today it's the Trimline Barns, but it used to be an old yellow rectangular concrete building here, probably a gas station. This place is totally forgotten. We're sitting on the Bible Belt. And up and down this whole highway here, we're going to see lots of really cool Bible or biblical billboards. But here we are on Route 66 in the town of Avila. So before Route 66 came by, this road is known as Old Carthage Road. It's a dirt road, and it got paved when Route 66 came by. There's tons of cool places to see. This building, we've got Lottie's up here. This is called Avila 66 Farm and Auto. Great little mural on the side of the building. Up here, this is Lottie's Soda Shop, general store. Built in 1885. Little Victoria style, wood frame, two-story building. This is known as the IOOF Lodge, the International Order of Oddfellows. The stone building here next to it is called Old French's Grocery. And this wooden building here is called Bush Beer now, or Bernie's Bar and Grill. It's known as Old Flo's Tavern. So this opened sometime around 1903. Great wooden building here. Old Flo's Tavern. Now it's Bernie's Bar and Grill. So next to Old Flo's, this whole vacant lot area, not here anymore. Used to be an incredible Phillips 66 station. Just beautiful, made with the local sandstone rocks, but it's not here, but it stretched this entire block. That's the Avila Post Office. Used to be the Bank of Avila in this building here. It's built in 1915 as the bank. Then the post office moved here in 1952. So the bank really served the farmers and the merchants. And in 1932, it was actually robbed by the Irish O'Malley gang. Hi, today we're in a town called Red Oak 2. It's not really a real town. It's more like a living museum, an art exhibit. Looks like a ghost town. Look at this diner. Beautiful. So Red Oak 2 is the brainchild of an artist named Lowell Davis. He grew up in a real town of Red Oak, Missouri, which is about 18 miles to our northwest of here. This is the 1916 Carthage Standard Oil gas station. Here we are, the Red Oak Care Center. Anyway, this here's the Marshal's office. Okay, Marshal Ralph L. Hooker. He's a great lawman down in Carthage. Hey, here we have a Phillips 66 cottage style gas station. Beautiful pumps here. Chimney, see that? P right there. You always find these on Phillips stations. This is where Lowell Davis lived, right here. It's kind of a hybrid house. It's the home of the outlaw Belle Starr. That's one area. And the other side is actually where Belle Starr was shot and killed. I think if you have time, you head up Route 66, take a little detour up here to Red Oak 2. So this is the original Route 66, 1926 alignment from Avia down to Carthage. We have a super iconic intersection right here. This is the old Sunset Drive-In. So originally it was built in 1935 as part of the Sunset Cabins. 2-room building, little draft style, multi-windows. Then later it served as a store and the restaurant for the Sunset Drive-In Theater. Now this complex is called White's Court. Then later it's called the Red Rock Cabins, and now today it's called the Red Rock Apartments. Well, here we are at the end of the road of Route 66 right here. Beautiful. It's called the Spring River down here. So Route 66 used to have a bridge crossed over the river on the other side right there. You can kind of see where it's all carved out even. At the Conoco station here, that guy, he's called the Crap Duster. Not Crop Duster, he's Crap Duster. He's designed by the artist Lowell Davis. Hey, over here, this is called the Kell Lake Motel across the street. It's built in the 1950s. So in the past 75 years, the trees have grown, but this establishment is basically unchanged. This here is Whistler's Old-Fashioned Hamburgers, opened in 1953. Also called Whistler's Drive Up. It's a classic hamburger joint. There's our hamburger cows there. This guy has been here a long time, called the Boots Court. A radio in every room. Clark Gable stayed here twice. So it opened in 1939, 8 rooms. It's got this streamlined, modern Art Deco look. So all curved here instead of, you know, straight edges. Welcome to Carthage, Missouri. Oh, it's a little speed trap. Across the street here, this is the Boots Drive-In. Opened in the 1940s. It's a specialized soda fountain. This over here is a super famous DeSoto Plymouth sign. Right there. It's all neon. Glows and shines up at nighttime. This was built in 1935. So here we are. We're going to head over the Wee Bridge. Oak Street Bridge. Built in 1920. Here we go. Whee! We got the 66 Drive-In Theater, listed on the National Register of Historic Landmarks. Look at that cool neon sign there, 66 Drive-In, now showing. Welcome to Carterville, Route 66. Coming from Carthage, this here is Route 66, all the way up here, and you hang a right on Main Street into town. This building here is called the Famous Grill Italian smokehouse. It originally was a Dairy Queen, or the Carterville Dairy Cream, built in the 1930s. Here is Super Tam on 66. Ice cream parlor, Superman Museum, and of course we have Superman. This is our former streetcar. It's red and white. It has a number up here, 66. That's for Route 66. This is this is a K84 car. So they're one of the most modern electric streetcars used in the tri-state area of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. But next door, this building here, it's called the Weeks Hardware Company. Look at that, 3-story red brick structure. So Mr. Weeks, he started this hardware company here in the 1890s. He proclaimed to be the largest supply house in southwestern Missouri. Then the building here was built in 1900. Little 3-story red brick facade. Hi, today we're in Missouri on Route 66 in the little town of Webb City. Up here is a little marker. Anyway, right here was a cottage style gas station here at one time and a garage. This is the historic district of Route 66 in Webb City. This is Morton Booth Company. So in fact, this entire district is on the National Register of Historic Places. This big building here used to be an old hotel called the Middle West Hotel, listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Sometimes called the Midwest Hotel, built in 1883. Held the town's Grand Opera House and remodeled in 1902. It's a 3-story red brick building. Got some old ones here too. This guy, now he's a really iconic building here. It's called the Route 66 Movie Theater. Dates back to 1928. Got a 2-story Art Deco building. Big neon sign for the marquee. Hey, this building here at the corner of Daughtery and North Main, little Pinocchio building here, it's called the Unity Building. It's a Miners Bank, built in 1906. This is the old pharmacy called The Pharmacy. It's in the right building. It's built in 1889 or 1899. Sorry about that. The streetcar used to run right in front, right here down the road here on Daughtery. Here's the Route 66 Visitor Center, Chamber of Commerce of Webb City. This is an old Gulf service station. Now this mansion here, this is Webb Mansion, right at Broadway and Liberty, owned by Elijah Thomas Webb. He's the son of the city's founder. It's built around 1907. Hey, today we're in the town of Joplin, Missouri, Route 66. There's tons of sights to see along the way as it zigzags to town. So we made our left here at Euclid. It's called Dale's Old 66 Barbershop. Dates back to 1928. It's located on what's called the suburban route through Joplin. The best way to see the town is park right here. We have 2-hour parking right here at the Joplin Public Library. This is the former site of the Connor Hotel. They built this great Renaissance hotel right here in 1906. But anyway, life went on and we had to tear it down in 1977 when the last business in the hotel closed. In 1926, Main Street ran this way, and that's the official Route 66 in 1926. But probably the most interesting building is this one right here, called the Central Christian Center. There used to be a Fox Theater. It's listed in the National Register of Historic Places. We're at 5th Street and Main Street, which is Route 66. Right here. This is the Historic District of Joplin. And the entire district here is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So this building here at 501 Main Street, this is the Chrisman's department store, built in 1917. It's the largest of our little buildings out here. 6-story brown brick structure on the block. And this building here is called the Pearls Brothers Building. It's a hardware store. The one on top, that's called Cruisin' into Joplin. And the one here on the bottom, the shiny red car, that's called the American Robin. Hey, our last stop in Joplin is right here. This is the Bonnie and Clyde 1933 garage apartment hideout. And after several robberies in the tri-state area, Bonnie and Clyde were on the run. And they hid in the apartment above this garage, right up there. Anyway, Joplin's got a ton of stuff to look at. Down Main Street, side streets, off streets. Super clean, terrific town. Anyway, there you go. That's Joplin for us. And our next step on Route 66, we're going to Galena, Kansas. So we're going to get out of Missouri. That's cool. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.